Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the post-mortem of the game. Manchester United have just been beat 1-0 by Crystal Palace. Another disappointing performance from us, it has to be said. United have lost 4 of their first 7 Premier League games for the first time in history. Now, that speaks volume, of course. And the performance itself, I mean, there's so many things to pick out. I don't even know where to start. But, Chive, just give me your brief overall performance, and then we'll try and dive into the specifics and stuff. But what was your main take from that for yourself?
It's a hard one to take, man. It's a really hard one to take because we weren't as bad as the rest of the losses, the rest of the games that we had. We weren't as bad. And they get a freak ball in, take a shot, and it's a goal.
Good finish, to be fair. It was a very good finish.
Yeah, but it happens. I mean, it always happens on the 20-minute mark. Something happens, like between the 20 and 25th minute.
Yeah,
we concede, and I don't know if we didn't have the character to come back, or also we have to give Palace credit for the defending. It was, but then again, sometimes you just need a little bit of luck, and we had none of that today. There was no luck.
Well, we haven't all season, have we? To be fair.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we're just focusing on today, on the game, there was none of that. Like, so many things. We played really well as a team, but some individual players obviously let us down. I was particularly happy with Mason Mount, at least in the first half. Yeah, I was quite like he didn't. Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't the Mount performance that I thought he'd have. I was actually quite happy with him, with the way he was playing. He was keeping the ball going and taking, and that's a positive. I know he can do better, but it was a good performance from him today. It was just a combination of everything, and it's one of those things where we just needed a little bit of luck for the ball to go in. But at the end of the day as well, this was a game that we couldn't afford to lose, because now we're falling back. We needed these 3 points to pull forward. What this means now is we're going to be relying on other teams to drop points, and unless that happens, I don't see us moving forward anyway. Last week, after we beat Crystal Palace, Bruno and Rashford were trending on Twitter. I haven't opened Twitter now, but I won't be surprised if they're trending again.
Hey, Rashford's definitely trending. So.
It's a pattern. This is what we talked about before the start of the game. I was like, well, the common denominator from last time was these guys didn't play, or Rashford didn't play, and look what happened. And now he played, and then, when Garnacho came on, he gave us so much within those few minutes. Anyway, I'm not going to go into I'm sure we're going to talk about stuff like that, but it's a hard defeat to take. It's a really, really hard. I'm quite okay with losses, but this is painful.
Yeah, Sam, give us your brief feeling at the moment after that game. Obviously, I can imagine you're pissed off, but what's your feeling now after seeing that, after watching the first 7 games at the start of the season? Where's your head at?
We don't seem to be a team, do we? We just don't seem to know each other. There doesn't seem to be any connection. There doesn't seem to be an idea of beyond get the ball towards the box and then just, I don't know, improv. That just seems to be the case. I don't know what's happening. I think Rashford is far too comfortable in that position. I think Chivy said in the chat he needs to be dropped because he needs to know that position ain't his, and he needs to perform. Because I thought when Garnacho came on, he offered so much more and offered way more than Rashford has offered the last few games, and I think he deserved it. I'm not going to get on the train of Rashford's Trashford and he's a terrible player, because he's not, but he needs to be dropped at this point because he's just not performing. I've seen people say, oh, we need a world-class striker, we need that. What is Højlund supposed to do, man? He had no service whatsoever. He literally didn't get supplied the ball, and when he did, he was trying to hold it up and he was trying to do stuff. He had one opportunity that I remember with the header, and the goalkeeper made a decent save, and that was it. So it's when you play the ball into him, he creates an opportunity, but other than that, just wasn't great. So I think the forward line is suffering at the minute from a lack of chemistry and a lack of click and bite. I don't know why that is. And then defensively, marking, what are we doing? Our marking is just terrible at the minute. Every goal we concede is by poor defending and poor marking. Everyone,
Well,
every
that back
single
post, Sam.
yeah,
You remember Declan Rice as
yeah,
well in Arsenal?
same
Back
one.
post again.
Same
Free
thing.
man.
And it's just,
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Like, I don't know why we're so bad at it. Do we do defensive drills? Are people just switching off and not marking their man? I don't understand it. It just seems to happen every single time. And like, credit to Crystal Palace, they came, snatched and grabbed and got a win. Like, absolutely. But they weren't the better team. Like, they didn't deserve to win that. They had an opportunity, bad defending, goal went in, and for the rest of the game, they did nothing. Like, literally nothing. Yeah. And that's sometimes how it goes, unfortunately.
Oh, look, we can't beat around the bush. The obvious talking, but I mean, Ten Hag out's trending on Twitter currently. But we've got individuals that we need to discuss as well. Marcus Rashford is, like I said, the obvious talking point. Decision making in the first half, very erratic. Times when you want him to pass, he shoots. When you want him to shoot, he passes. He just seems to get a cloud in his head that we always talk about. In fairness to him, I want to kind of flip that in the same point that Amrabat was playing at left back, so he didn't have that overlapping run consistently to open up the space for him. So a lot of the times he's got three bodies in front of him and he's like trying to beat him, trying to get it across to the box. So that kind of side of it, people will come at me for that, but I have to appreciate that side because Amrabat wasn't bombing forward. He had his own problems to deal with in certain situations. But Marcus Rashford, is it time to drop him now, Chive?
Yeah, I think it's time to drop him. And I would like, or either drop him or play him in a different position, right? Because I would like to, like, before the game started, we talked about wide playmakers, and I'd like to see some sort of creativity on the wing. Marcus Rashford today, I noticed that, well, not just today, but it was so apparent today. He gets the ball, puts his head down and just runs. Like, you don't always have to do that when you have the ball. So a typical example was in the first half. I don't remember exactly what time it was. It might have been like 20 before the goal, a few minutes before the goal.
Yeah.
Amrabat and Casemiro kind of combine and win the ball. So we win the ball back in the midfield. Give it to him. He just puts his head down, starts to run. Instead of looking, because right next to him, there was, I think it must have been Bruno or Mount who was free in the middle. And it was a simple case of give it and then just go. Because when you don't have the ball, you can beat anyone for pace. Right? So it was one of the situations where he could have just passed the ball. And then if you like to run, all right, just run and then open for the pass. But he just puts his head down and just starts to run. And then when he runs out of ideas is when he tries to pass.
It's too late. It's too late then, isn't it? When he runs out, it's too late then.
Yeah. Because when he does the first and second shimmy and the defender isn't going, then it's like everyone has run back, taking their positions, and there's nothing to do. Now, when Garnacho and Martial came on,
yeah,
I was seeing the ball was moving on that side.
Much better.
And it was almost as if Mason Mount got like a new lease of life on that side, because you could see him running behind Garnacho, or every time he had the ball, him and Martial. Like, this whole thing, it was flowing. And I think we should experiment that more. Now, we don't know what happens during training. So, I'm not 100% sure. But, as a fan, I have to ask for this guy to be dropped, unfortunately. It's no slight on him. But it seems to be a common denominator at the moment now that every time he's in, we're not really performing well now. Whatever that is, whatever the cause of that, I really don't know. But he needs to have some time on the bench to reflect. This is what happened with Luke Shaw as well. When he got too comfortable in that left back position and Brandon Williams started playing well, we saw Luke Shaw.
Tellez as well. When Tellez came in, same thing.
Tellez came in, even when Malacia came in and had a really good performance against Liverpool and Southampton, it was then that Luke Shaw started. So maybe Marcus Rashford needs a bit of that. Maybe there's something behind the scenes. And one more thing, this kind of plays into the Jadon Sancho thing, because one of the leaks that came out was that Ten Hag has favourites, right? Now, and if you're on the bench and you're playing well and you're seeing someone, I'm not saying this is Sancho, I'm just saying someone like Garnacho or Martial is seeing Marcus Rashford drop stinker week after week, and every time they come on, they actually play well. They both got a goal against Palace, but then Rashford still gets this preferential treatment. So this is some of the stuff that some of the leaks that have come out about preferential treatment. And is this a window into what we're being told about what's happening behind closed doors. I don't
Essentially.
know.
Yeah. You do
It's
make a good
something to
point
think
there.
about.
Yeah. No, definitely, it certainly is. I'm just going to read out a couple of comments. Sam, will you have a look at your audio? Because it sounds a bit, I don't know if it's my headphone, it sounds a bit tinny. It sounds different to how it usually does, so I don't know if you just want to double check that. I'll read out some comments because there's quite a lot. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Yeah, there's loads. The marking on that Palace goal was dreadful. Again, that's from Mighty Music and Fantastic Football. Absolutely. Back post again. Andy Williams saying, what's the difference in Eric Ten Hag and Van Gaal? It's a big question that he's throwing out there. Aaron Gregory saying we're so easy to defend against. We move the ball so slowly. Tim99 saying we're missing that world-class striker. Andy saying 600 passes between the centre-backs. I can't be bothered. There's a lot of people frustrated in the chat. Another weekend ruined. Aaron saying he runs himself into trouble because he's not getting his head up. Blind alleys. These next few games are crucial for our season. Well, we thought this run of games that we've got now is pretty favourable. Like a lot of them at home.
These are the winnable games, aren't they?
Yeah, these are the ones that we're supposed to be fucking winning, and it's like you lose to Palace. So that's, what would you say, 4 games we've lost out of 7 so far. Like that is just
relegation.
Near
Relegation form.
Yeah,
relegation form.
Fucking awful form. I don't know. Is many other things to discuss, Sam. One thing that was highlighted that kind of ties in with the Rashford thing is the crosses into the box were nowhere near good enough. You mentioned that Højlund had no service. Yeah. I felt like everything he was doing off the ball, you know, like coming to feet, holding it up, showing his strength in certain situations was really good. But then when he got it to the byline, it's like we didn't do anything with it. All the crosses that we did do were awful, weren't they?
The two big chances I remember, what came from crosses. There was the Casemiro header, thing, and then the Højlund header where he made a save, and then the shot from Bruno. They were the 3 chances I remember. 2 of them come from crosses into the box. Do you know what I mean? The Crystal Palace game, Carabao Cup, didn't 2 of them come from crosses? The Martial goal, and then
so Casemiro to Martial,
and then Mount to
Garnacho.
Yeah.
Oh no, Casemiro off a set piece, Mount to Casemiro, and then Garnacho's was across the box.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I don't understand why we aren't doing more of this. Like, it seemed towards the end of the game, we seemed to switch up our, like Chivy said, once Martial and Garnacho came, we seemed to switch up how we played, and we seemed to create a bit more. Like he said, Mount was back involved in the game, seemed to create a little bit more because we were playing out on that left, whereas like Rashford there, it was just like a dead end. It was like a void where the ball went to die, and it's so exactly. I think it became a bit more, but it's too little too late at that point. Like, we'd already played 60, 70 minutes, and the Palace defence was like, we can keep you guys out all day. We don't need to go forward. We've scored. Like, we can just sit here all day. And they did well. Like, they kept us out. I was watching with my girlfriend, and she said, what is it, like a shield around this Palace box? Because you just didn't seem to want to get in. There was a point where the ball went right across the 6-yard box, and it took 2 deflections and then went out. Yeah. And I'm like, this is just not going to go in, is it? It's going to be one of those days it don't go in.
Do you think that's the case of these players? I'm not making excuses for him because it's not good enough. I've acknowledged that. But do you think that's a case of the players not having enough game time with each other, like Pellistri, Højlund, Mount, all just come like they've hardly played with each other at all? So could that be? Yeah.
Well, it was our front line. The last couple of front lines have never played together. Like, they've never sort of played together. Like the Højlund, Rashford, Pellistri, or Højlund, Anthony, Rashford. Like, they've never played together ever. So obviously that chemistry is going to be lacking. I think injuries doesn't help. Like you mentioned with the Luke Shaw overlap that Rashford normally has. Amrabat, as good as he is, he's not a left back. Like, he can play there, but he's not a left back, and he's not that marauding left back that gets forward. He wants to come inside to the midfield. Obviously, you've got on that right hand side Dalot, I think, who I think is playing very well. I think he's been decent.
Yeah.
But Pellistri's not had a run in the team ever at United. Like, I think he started that game last season against Betis, was it?
Yeah.
And then maybe started one other game, but he's never had a run of games like he's had now. So that's a new partnership over there, Dalot and Pellistri. So, it's a little disjointed in a minute, but I think that aside, I think the quality that we had on the pitch today should have been enough to beat that Palace team, because they didn't look good. They did not look good at all. Eze was probably their standout player, and we had 3 people marking him when he got on the ball. We just shut him down completely. So we should have had no issue beating that team. It was just lack of quality and a lack of taking our chances.
Yeah. I think we dominated it in general, didn't we, Chivit? Like, we dominated the game, but just got nothing out of it. Like, they didn't have loads of chances, did they? They scored off that kind of free kick, and then it was kind of, apart from that, the emphasis was on us, wasn't it?
They didn't need to be. They didn't need to be good.
No.
They just needed. Yeah, they just needed to be effective, and that's what they did. They got the goal, and Palace would have come here looking for a point, really.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Like, and then they got the goal, and they were like, "Cool, we'll just defend this." Yeah. Even if they score, like, they're not gonna get 2 goals. So they didn't need to be adventurous. They didn't need to be brave. They just needed to just be compact as a unit. I think IU did really well with getting under the skin of players. They were quite effective.
Also, sorry, Chivit, how did Casemiro not get sent off, by the way? How was he on the pitch?
Yeah, I want to get onto them decisions. We'll talk about that because that's.
Well, anyway, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. But I think he was on rightly so. But another thing I was just going to add about, you mentioned the front line, your question to Sam earlier, and about whether it was chemistry. I think it was also a case of imbalance. Like, when you have a team that's sitting back, you need creative players to sort of unlock that team, and especially on the wings. And we didn't have those kind of playmakers in Rashford and Pellistri. In the first 2 minutes, there was a quick interchange. Bruno played Pellistri in, and he's in. And as soon as he gets the ball, someone just literally just does that and shoves him off the ball.
Yeah, no physicality at all. No physicality.
There was quite a few times when Pellistri was in. There was also, I think it was the second half. I don't remember. Where he's played in, and it's literally he actually asked for the second half.
Is it where he passes it instead of? Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he asked for it. Like, he literally asked for the ball and then runs in. The ball gets to him and he kind of just falls over. And it's like Bruno plays this inch perfect.
There's another one. There's another one as well. He gets played in and he's just slightly right at a goal into the 6-yard box, and you think, put your foot through it, left hand corner. It's a goal. He cuts it back and passes behind him.
Yeah.
Why? Just shoot. Just take a shot.
Yeah. So, but these are some of the things I'm talking about. Like, you need players to come clutch for you in those positions, in those moments, and also in the moments when everyone has their, the other team is defending. You need players to be able to unlock. So I would have really liked to see Mason Mount maybe on one side of the wing, and I don't know, maybe Martial on the other side. Just someone with a little bit of creativity. You can't play with direct players like that when you're playing against like a heavily defensive side.
Well, when City play against that low block, they have Grealish and Bernardo Silva who have them combinations where they will open you up and then they'll square it for a Højlund, let's say, who's up top, and they'll get a goal from that. If the team's really frustrating them, they will work them angles to do that. I'm not sure. The reason why I mentioned this chemistry thing is because I'm not sure these players have had enough time on the training ground between each other, and again, not making excuses to get that out of them. Look, but like Sam said, it's players that were on that pitch. We've got like internationals, world-class players in that team. You need to be beating them regardless. Palace's biggest spend on a player was like 20 million, and that was on Gay and fucking Henderson, who's not even in the team.
They arguably lost their best player in Wilfried Zaha in the summer.
Yeah. So there's no excuses at all, no excuses whatsoever. Very quickly, I'm going to discuss the VAR decision shortly. I just wanted to ask about Amrabat as well, because obviously they're starting at left back again. I was slightly worried about that. I know he played well, but just because he played left back in the last game, there's no surprise there. We speak about Reguilon needed him at left back for them overlapping runs and stuff. He needs to be in the midfield, doesn't he, Sam Amrabat, in the next couple of games. You need to put him into there, because even though he did a job there and he looked decent at times, he was still a little bit flaky in certain situations where he's trying to grab the ball. He was getting pushed over in certain situations as well, wasn't he?
I think first half he was decent. A goal aside, I thought he was all right. He played well. Yeah. And then second half, it kind of fell apart a little bit. Left back wise, he was making stupid fouls, giving the ball away. He was sort of erratic in his positioning. Like, he'd pop up in the midfield, and then he'd pop up over on the left wing, and then he'd pop up so he's a bit all over the place, which is good. Like, it's good to see a player get about the pitch and get on it and stuff like that. But sometimes especially when you're trying to create and you're trying to get a goal, you've got to be a bit more disciplined with the way you play. You can't just be leg-arsing it about the pitch and doing that sort of stuff. So
Bruno's been criticised for that before.
Yeah, he's very similar in that way. I know we're going to get onto the Casemiro thing later, so I'll save that criticism for then.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, just a little bit erratic in the second half. It's just a shame because we're stuck with that, aren't we? Like, he's going to have to play there because Reguilon's out till after the international break, apparently. Shaw won't be back till November, I believe.
Yeah. Malacia, no one has a clue.
Malacia, don't know what's happening. Wan-Bissaka is after the international break, so you couldn't even put Dallo there because he's going to have to play right back. So that's kind of where we're at. He's just going to have to play there for now.
Absolutely fucked. Right then, let's talk about the VAR decisions, and I'll read a few more comments out. Make sure you do leave a like on the video if you thought that performance was absolutely dog shit, and subscribe to Real Red Talk as well if you can. Chiva, do you think we was lucky to get away with some decisions? You look at Casemiro's, Amrabat's, a couple of them. There was a bit flaky, weren't there? And the handballs and the fouls and stuff like that.
The handballs, yes. The Casemiro, it's football. It happens. It's one of those ones. For me, none of them were like after yellow card, his initial yellow card. I don't think any of the other ones were stonewall yellow cards. Like they were always arguable, in my opinion. I mean, for me, like the generation I come from is like, yeah, it's light stuff. Like that was light. Like it wasn't. So I could see. I could understand.
Nowadays, it's the way the game is nowadays.
The way the game is nowadays, yeah, I can see it. To be honest, like if I was a Palace fan, I'd be here like screaming, like exactly. Should be sent off and all that. But yeah, maybe at the end of the day, that was one thing that worked in our favor, that he didn't get sent off because we didn't seem to have any bit of luck. So, but everything else, the handballs and all that, like, and
serious question, lads. Does anybody know what the handball rule is anymore?
No.
Do you know what it is? I don't know.
It's up to whoever is
whoever's in charge.
Like, honest to God, give me an explanation. Give me like an explanation of what handball is, because I don't fucking know anymore. I literally don't know.
A handball is only given based on it's very objective now or subjective to whoever.
Shouldn't be though, should it? It shouldn't be,
because if Lisandro, I'll never forget the Lisandro one against
Sociedad.
Yeah. Where his hand is to his body, the ball bounces off his body.
You don't remember
off his hand, which is the same thing that Guéhi did today.
Do you not remember the Middlesbrough one? Like the Middlesbrough one, and then literally a week later against City, it's completely different. And then there was was it last weekend? Somebody had the hand out here, Tottenham thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't get it anymore. Literally, I have no idea anymore.
No one does. You're not the only one. No one has a fucking clue. I think what they was going for with the one they had in their box was the intent, because he knew fuck all about it, so it's hit his hand. But then is not a lot of them that we've seen recently, they can't do anything about it because it's so close anyway. So I don't know. The consistency is horrific at the minute. But regardless, I don't even want to make excuses for him really, because
it was shit.
Anyway, we should have won the game regardless. Penalty decisions, yellow cards, whatever it is. However you want to kind of script it, we should have won that game. And we are now behind Palace. They've got above us in the table. They've still got other teams behind us like Forest and Fulham, I think, who have got games to play. So God knows what happens if we could go down the table even more. That's the worrying thing at the moment. Luckily, we haven't got a Man City next, even though they just lost to fucking Wolves. But we haven't got a Man City next door, an Arsenal or anyone like
Brentford,
that.
I wouldn't mind playing City now with them.
I fucking wouldn't. I'm telling you, if we had City next.
If there was any time in the season to play City.
Oh yeah, well if you look at it like that, but if there's any time to play United right now, it's now.
No, because they haven't got like Rodrigo's out, Bernardo Silva's out, De Bruyne's out. They've got fucking Stones, Nunes and Kovacic. And I don't know who else.
Oh, you've had Brighton lose, City lose, United lose this weekend.
Also, can we say, like, Brighton got absolutely smashed by Villa, but when they play, like Chivy said in the chat, when they play against us, they look like fucking prime Bayern Munich. Yeah, What the fuck?
I think it's going to be a long season, lads. I really, really do.
Very long season.
Yeah, it'd be
Very
funny to
long.
look back at our season predictions.
Oh, it's not happening now. It's definitely
Yeah.
not happening now.
Oh God, no. Right, let me just read out a couple of comments and then we'll do the ratings really, really quickly. Andy Williams, wasn't a game where we looked like we're scoring. We could have played for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Aaron saying Pellistri needs to hit the weights. My 2-year-old would outmuscle him. I mean, that's fair enough. Henry Jones says, "Where's your invincible?" Okay. Shah Sam says Hoyland keeps falling all the time as well. It does look a little bit dangly. I know what you mean. I know what you're saying, but I thought his control overall was relatively good. We 100% don't have a world-class player in this team. Casemiro's still world-class. I don't give a shit what you said.
Yeah.
So we do. But not many, I'll give you that. And then sick of the VA argument now. It's shit. It shouldn't come down to us relying on decision. We should have enough about us to get the job done with or without it. And
Agreed.
I think, yeah, absolutely. That's where we're at the minute. It's been an unlucky, kind of miserable, just everything you don't want from the start of the season, we've basically had on and off the pitch so far. Our luck needs to change and our performances need to change. That being said, let's do the ratings. We'll just go through them, snap it, quickly. Andre Onana, what are you giving him? Had fuck all to do, really, didn't it?
C, because like you said, nothing to do, and the goal was just a fucking volley smash past him. I don't know what you want him to do with it. So C, had nothing to do.
Chivette.
Same.
Yeah. The Diego Dalot was quite good today. I thought he was okay. Did everything you would usually ask of a wing back. He was bombing forward. Defensively was okay. Would you give him a C+, do you think? Are we happy with that?
Yeah, C+. Yeah. Offered bits going forward, was decent at times and stuff like that, but below his level. Below his level. Yeah, below his level that he can reach.
Yeah, fair enough. Raphael Varane and Lindelof. I mean, again, it's like, to be honest, when you're marking the defence, you kind of just like. Who
let Anderson go? Who was marking Anderson?
I can't. I know it was near the back post. I can't remember it. I think it was just the way of the play. It was. All happened very, very quickly, so I can't even remember who was his man. But yeah, Varane, Lindelof. Did he do anything wrong today? I thought Varane was quite positive. Lindelof was a little bit flaky sometimes. Physicality with Mateta and a couple of other Palace players. So
C minus to average it out. If Lindelof's a bit flaky, but Varane was all right.
I'd personally give Varane a C and I'd give Lindelof C minus just because of the individual battles. To be honest, let's see what one sec. Paul Merson said something. I just want to see what he said.
This is definitely going to be absolutely regular, isn't it?
No, to be honest, it's not even thinking. They need to dominate teams. They're too slow, too pedestrian. Which, in fairness, we was on the ball. It was very crab-like football. Whoever mentioned Van Gaal before,
I've just
fair enough.
I've just seen a stat. Roy Hodgson, the first manager to go 5 consecutive Premier League matches unbeaten at Old Trafford.
Jesus Christ, man! Wow.
There you go.
Amrabat, what's Chivette?
I'll give him a C as well.
Amrabat, C. Sam, do you agree with that?
Yeah, first half good, second half bit off it and sort of lost it a bit, so it takes him down a bit.
Casemiro.
C.
Average performance.
I'd go C plus because I thought going forward really, really good. Some chances and it was great, but going backwards he looked like a walking red card. I thought he was going to get sent off at some point. So
I would have given him a C plus, but some of the fouls were necessary.
Yeah.
A few times he lost out on challenges, and
other times though it just seemed a bit cynical and a bit he needs to iron that out of his game. So
yeah, but just knowing what he is capable of doing, it's a C, maybe even a C. Well, it's up to you, but
I went C plus. So Nick, you decide.
I will C plus as well. I thought he was quite good on the ball. Personally, if we're going to give Casemiro C plus, though, I would have to give Mason Mount a C plus. I thought he was decent today for the time that he was on 70 minutes. I think it was.
He looked the form that he had in the 30 minutes he got at the Carabao Cup game.
I think it was for half. He got 45 minutes.
Yeah. So I think him, but he sort of kicked on from that performance and sort of maintained that. So I thought, decent level. I hope he continues to sort of up and up.
I just love the intensity that he plays at. Like everything he does is just but he's on the ball. He's very sharp.
That's why Ten Hag got him, wasn't it? He was got him for that sort of intensity off the ball.
Very quick, bang, go. Yeah. impressive.
I'm not so worried about Mason Mount anymore. Like after today, because initially I was. You guys know how worried I was.
Same.
But yeah, me and you, son, we're both quite worried. But then I'm beginning to see what it is he's here for. Hopefully he can kick on from here. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, C+. Bruno Fernandes, lads. I mean, we've not even really spoken about him today. It weren't like it was an awful performance, but is he grabbing games for you guys? Is he doing enough for you?
Lack of impact, innit? He doesn't have an impact on the game, and he should. He's the captain. He's one of our most creative players. He plays in the 10, which is you should be dictating the game from that point, and he doesn't. He just doesn't impact games at the minute, and it's a lot of people go, "Oh, he's underrated, he's underappreciated," and that's true. But you need to start performing, man. You're the captain of Man United. You're playing in the 10. You're going to play every game. You need to start stepping up and absolutely like making yourself known, and he just isn't. So for me, I'd go with like C-, D+, something around there. Like, it's difficult because he wasn't awful, but he just didn't do anything.
Vivi, how did you see it, Bruno, today?
D.
Oh wow! I thought Sam's was quite thingy, but D. Yeah, I mean we'll have to.
Yeah, like Sam said, like he wasn't awful, but he wasn't great. He was below average. Like,
yeah,
I'll put it that way. He was below average, and we need. I mean, you're home. You're the captain. This is where we need you to actually step up and come clutch.
It took my laptop off then. Sorry.
Yeah. And one thing with Bruno is that normally, even when he doesn't play well, he still impacts the game. Like he did against Burnley. Was it Burnley?
Yeah. The volley.
Yeah, he always has like an assist or a goal. But today, when we needed him most, he didn't come up clutch. And I'm surprised he stayed the whole game. Like towards the end, when Ten Hag was making those changes, I thought maybe he might come out, but he played in there. I don't know. I'd give him a D. There was nothing. He could have played for another 10 days in this, and nothing would have come out of it. So yeah.
Well, I'd love to hear everybody else's thoughts about Bruno Fernandes. Please talk to me and let me know, because there's a variety of opinions about him in a minute, but I'm not happy with his performances. I think he needs to do better and start grabbing games. Pellistri, we talk about physicality at times. Decision making, did well with his work off the ball, I thought, to pinch it back in crucial situations, but doesn't quite offer enough just yet. I don't think so. In the pecking order, I would still keep him behind Anthony. I think we've seen now. Do you think it's a big enough sample size to see he can't be a regular starter, or is that too harsh?
I think he works his ass off. I think he's very, very good. Like, he absolutely works his fucking ass off. And then when you look at sort of Rashford, who we'll get onto later, it's just like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's the sort of performance he's putting in. The one thing he does like is, like Javier said many a time, is the physicality. He gets bullied far too often off that ball. He gets shoved away. He gets it pinched from him. Like, that's where Anthony... It doesn't happen to Anthony because he's an aggressive guy. He's quite large, like, and he'll impose himself and be aggressive with it. So it's less likely to happen. Whereas Pellistri, does get physically, unless he beats the guy, he's just going to get knocked off the ball, which is the flaw. But I really like him. I think he's got something. I think there's a player there. And like I said, if he can hit the weights, become a bit more stronger, I think you've got someone there. But I think once Anthony's fit, Pellistri's going to get dropped. And Anthony's going to come straight back in the team. But I thought he did well. Like, I'd give him a C. I thought he was decent. Just the lack of finishing in the end product was not quite there.
Vivi?
We're talking about Pellistri.
Mm-hmm.
I have to give him a D as well. He looked sharp. He looked sharp, really, to be honest. And there were a few times he came through defensively. Not going to lie, there was a few interceptions he made, and what I respect is the effort he puts in and the hunger that he has. Like, he shows that hunger. He really, really wants to influence the game, but it's just beyond him, to be honest. And I'll have to go with a D.
Okay, we'll go C-. Not quite ready, because I'll go in between your ratings. Last two, Rasmus Højlund. I mean, I don't know what else. No service.
He had nothing to do. Yeah. Like, he made one chance, when he got the ball, he tried to hold it up and bring people in. But that's all you can give him, isn't it?
I can see him developing and being really, really good as long as he has the right players around him, I think.
Yeah.
If you continue with these players that are around at the minute, like Marcus Rashford, even Anthony to a certain extent, because he's selfish at the best of times, I don't know if you're going to get the best out of him, to be honest with you. Because I think if you put him in that City team now, he would score goals.
If you put him in that City team, he's Julian Alvarez. He scores.
Even Arsenal don't have a clinical striker.
It's like if you put Haaland in the United team, he ain't getting 20 goals. It's not happening. Like, it isn't, because he's not going to get a ball. He's not going to get De Bruyne putting a ball into him. He's not going to get Jack Grealish putting a ball, or who. Like, it's not going to happen, is it? He's not scoring 20. So
it doesn't matter who you put in that attacking role at United. I remember I said last time, like, I'd like to see Højlund and Martial Martial on the right, on the left hand side, and Højlund.
Yeah.
And see,
I'm open for that. 100%.
Can't do any worse than Rashford, man. Can't do any worse.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, Martial grabs it and he looks for the man. Straight away. That's his first thought. He looks for the man. Come towards me. Let's play. Let's do this. Back combinations. Rashford gets it and he goes, right, I'm going to run. You know what I mean?
And he just makes it look easy as well. And he was just like, you could just see the joy. Like, Mason Mount ran over there. You're just like, this is the fun side of things.
Yeah, here we go. Triangles. Wow.
Yeah.
I forgot what they were.
Around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frustrating. So we're giving Højlund a C, yeah?
You can't give him anything. You can't give him anything else, can you? Yeah.
I'll give him a C. Up to me, I'd have given a C minus, but I'll give him a C.
Okay. And then Marcus Rashford. What are we giving?
Now, Nick, why don't you do this one?
I think, like I said, his first half decision making very erratic. Shoots when he needs to pass, passes when he needs to shoot. But I'm also slightly sympathetic because of the Amrabat situation where you haven't got anyone overlapping or underlapping in that regard. So I don't think I'd be as harsh as you guys. I would probably go a D or a D plus. I'd probably say
D plus.
Yeah.
I think if I'm going to be kind, because I think, like you said, there are factors at play, but he's had his opportunities, he's had chances to correct this form and change these things and work on these things. So for me, D minus E, like, he's around that mark. He needs to be dropped. He needs to have time away. He needs to take a long, hard look and be like, what am I doing wrong with my game? What do I need to change? Getting some training, worked on some sort of getting his head up, looking at where his teammates are, bringing him into the play. Like last season, we relied on him for everything. Like the only goals we got was Rashford. That was it. Like if he didn't score, we weren't scoring. Which I think he still thinks he's in that mode now. I think he still thinks he has to just score, and it's just like, no, we've got a striker now. We've got Mason Mount, people like that. You can play and use them to bring it into your game, so you can get into positions and score. Like he needs to realize he's in a team now, and it's very frustrating. So I think some time away from the first team the first lineup would be good for him.
Remember what I said.
I get what you're saying about the player running around behind him, but that's not an excuse. Like if you cannot adapt your game, then why are you at Manchester United? Why are you one of our highest paid players? Like why are you're not at fucking mid-table? Well, you are the mid-table.
Yeah, you fucking are. Right now you are.
Yeah, exactly. But you get the point I'm making. Like, there's a lot expected of you, and it's not like you're going to be like, oh, well, I could have done this, but there's no one running behind me.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's the reason for his shit.
I know.
Like I said,
I'm just saying, yeah.
But
he's going to have to adapt his game to that. Like, it's more than just that. Like,
Yeah. So the rating, lads, final rating, please.
I went D.
For me, I went with Sam, D minus, and that's being kind.
Yeah, that's me being kind as well.
Right, okay. Let's read out a couple of comments and we can head off. I think Palistri needs another loan spell, ideally the championship. That's from Aaron. Ashley Dallow says, put Bruno and Rasmus in that City team and watch them destroy teams. And with Bruno, I don't think he's a City type player, to be honest with you. No. I think he's City, like that possession game. When it comes to ball retention, Bruno isn't the best. He likes doing things quickly, so I don't know. I'm not. Yeah. Well, yeah. Henry Jones says, Onana C, Dallo C, Varane C, Lindelof C+, Amrabat B, Casemiro, not another one, C-. Mountain of Poo. I think he's alluding to
Bruno.
Mason Mount. No, he's saying Mason Mount.
Mason Mount.
Yeah,
Not,
I think that's harsh. And then Rashford lower than a Ford Fiesta.
I think Mount's one of those teams like no matter what, unless he scores a hat trick, he's just gonna get criticised, isn't he? Like that's just that's the guy he is.
The game, especially at United. It's one of them. Like unless you know, like you said. Ten Hag said, of course, this season's been frustrating for everyone, especially for the fans. It's frustrating, but for us as well. We have to stick together, fight together, and get better. Make sure we improve. On Galatasaray says we can't change this result anymore. What we change is the future, and that's Tuesday in the next game. It's quite simple. We conceded only 3 chances over the whole game, all 3 from set plays. Then I think we got in good positions and then made poor decisions. So even he's acknowledging their poor decisions in the final third. So I'm expecting some big changes for Galatasaray. I want a Garnacho to come in. I want a Martial to come in. Maybe, some tweaks in the midfield. I'm not sure. But, yeah, we need to start winning games because this is fucking depressing at the moment. But that is the review, the post-mortem breakdown of the game. Crystal Palace have beaten Manchester United 1-0. We'll be back, obviously, again on Tuesday and loads of content before that. So make sure you are giving us a follow. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, unfortunately, let's just hope this doesn't happen next time. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Big up to Sam and Chive for joining me. Have a lovely day. Hopefully this hasn't ruined your fucking weekend too much and we can move. Take care, everyone.
Peace.
And we won't play out. We won't play out. And we won't play out. We won't play out. And we won't